What's up, YouTube? Back at you with another video. I got a special guest here on the Quick Take.
Hey, it's Nora.
So basically, my sister, she gave me a call a few minutes ago and basically was asking me about my thoughts on the Janet Jackson documentary. And I was just like, you know what? Might as well just go ahead and make a video about it. So because you were so pretty much spurred to give me a call about it, what were your thoughts on the documentary?
I just thought it was an amazing, it was amazing. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think it was great to see Janet tell her story her way. I think not only Janet, but the whole Jackson family is so regarded and they're legendary. But there's so many different people that want to, quote unquote, tell their story for them. But to actually hear it in her voice and just to see the footage that we've never seen and to really dive deep on her feelings on certain issues that have happened in her life, I thought it was just utterly amazing. And it was really great to just see all this stuff and just see her family speak on things and different artists and people that have worked with her as well. And just to get insight from her was just great. I thought it was awesome and well done.
I agree. There were certain things in the documentary I was kind of familiar with already, being that I'm a really big Michael Jackson fan, as everybody watching this video knows already. And I'm also a very big fan of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. If you don't know who Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis are, they are members of Morris Day and The Time, or The Time specifically. And they are the masterminds behind Janet Jackson's career. You know what I'm saying? They were her, I guess you could say they were her, Quincy Jones, so to speak. Yeah. Kind of like, when Michael got with Quincy for Off the Wall, that was pretty much the case with Janet, although obviously, Michael and Janet are not really in the same songwriting category or echelon. But I was really happy just to see that she got her moment of acknowledgement and appreciation. I think a lot of times artists try to do that like preemptively, like, Soulja Boy made a movie about his life like 2 years after his career started, you know what I'm saying? Whereas Janet, she had a whole story to tell, about her childhood, her, the beginning of her acting career, the beginning of her music career, and how her first 2 albums didn't really, pan out the way that she did, her relationship with her father, and then her meeting, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and then the whole impetus for the Control album, pretty much happened. So I knew the story already, but it was nice to see some of the specifics. Like, honestly, I was looking forward to seeing her and Jimmy Jam get into it in the studio. You know what I'm saying? Jimmy Jam was like, yo, the energy not there. The energy not there. And then she's like, oh, I don't need your little attitude. And she walked out. So I actually wanted to see a little bit of drama. So, it made me feel good that she got her flowers. And it's something that I said on Twitter. I said that when we talk about GOATs, when we talk about the greatest, female entertainers of all time, there's only 3 that come to mind: Diana Ross, Janet Jackson, and Whitney Houston. That's it.
Talk about it.
That's it. I don't think about nobody else. Everybody else, they're following the blueprint laid down by those 3. You see what I'm saying? After that, nah.
Well, there's different artists. We have to also remember people like, oh my gosh, why am I getting like a brain fart of her name? But Aretha Franklin as well is legendary as well. So but for Janet in particularly, we're talking about a Black female artist that literally took the charts by storm in her time, and it was really so unknown. And she, just like her brother, was like the king of pop. She's honestly like the queen of pop. Like, she really showed, especially girls that look like me, that this is with drive and tenacity. She really did do it on her own, because after those 2 albums. And I obviously, this is before my time, so I didn't really know too much about the albums prior to Control and all this stuff. I knew about them. I knew a couple of songs, but like nothing. If you think about her career, we're really celebrating from Control on, to be quite honest. Her career is so, it spans since she was little. Like, I think to see the footage of her and her brothers doing shows on the variety show, being in Vegas, all this stuff. Janet's been working for a very long time. So you're talking about a musical family that they are all gifted. They all have so many amazing gifts and have been in the industry for a long time. And to see her finally get her flowers, it's amazing, because after the scandal that we knew, to think about what's in the stage today, it's like, come on. Like,
yeah.
We murdered this woman for what?
What?
I
literally said the same thing. I was like, okay, first of all, what happened on stage between her and Justin Timberlake, first of all, was not her fault. She's not the one who ripped it off, okay? He was the one that did that. If you look at how raunchy and like overly sexual this era is in terms of music, it's like literally what she did was like nothing compared to what women are doing on TV right now. What women are doing 100%. On stage right now. What men 100%. Are doing on stage right now. Little Nas X, that's all I have to say. That is all I have to say. Like literally. Like that, and honestly, that pissed me off. And because people still real quick, there's just some people who still blame her for that to this day. To this day. You know, but my bad, guys.
Oh no. I was gonna say, I 1,000% agree with you. Like, can you imagine like what she did, and now seeing back, you're like, what was it all for? They pretty much like,
it's because she was black.
To hear that in the same year with everything that happened, the Grammys that was once like her stomping grounds, was once where they welcomed the whole family, told her not to come. Like, I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, I was really taken aback. I really was like, wow, one thing happened. And I agree with you. She didn't rip it on stage. You would think she ripped everything off.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I actually remember. I don't know if we watched that live. I don't remember, but I remember as a little kid, because that was 2003, 2004. All I remember was, I'ma have you naked by the end of this song. That's all I remember. That is all I remember from that, yo.
Yeah, we had it. I remember we had not a joke, but it was like, that's all you remembered is like that part. And then all you see is rip. And it's just like, huh? Like, what just happened here?
Yeah.
I'm not, and it's, what's crazy to me is I was a huge Justin. I'm going to be honest.
I remember.
I was a huge Justin Timberlake fan, had all his albums. I know all his songs. And it's so crazy when you were younger and you didn't really think of this stuff. I'm serious. Like the whole Britney thing, the whole Janet thing. I'm going to be quite honest with you. Maybe because I was younger, I just like, it went over my head and I was just a big fan of his. But to be an adult and to really look back, I'm like, this mother father, really, bro? Like, even, and the fact that Janet in the documentaries said that Justin contacted her and he was like, what should I do? Should I make a statement? And she said, you know what? I really don't want you to be involved. Just, it's on me anyway. It is what it is. The fact that she said that literally gave me chills, because it's just like, she really took a beating for this guy. Because to be quite honest, Janet could have been like, you know what? This was not even my fault. This happened on stage. He's the one that did this to me. I was totally taken off back, blah, 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 whatever. And it would have been on him. But like, she literally was like, you know what? You're just starting your career. I'll take it. And I was like, that is so telling on who she is as a person, as a human being.
But you have to take into account the era that this happened in. You know what I'm saying? That was an era where like a lot of things were taboo and you couldn't do a lot of things
100%.
on television. But granted, in 2022, if something like that were to happen to any, sort of popular female entertainer today between her and let's say a male entertainer or a male performer, everybody would have blamed the male performer. So it's kind of weird how like the different changes in times really like affect a lot of, different things. You gotta understand too. I think the fact that, Michael having his allegations at the time, it didn't help anything. And it's funny that, I as a Michael Jackson fan, I never realized how much it affected her career. Like I knew it did, but I didn't know to that extent as to where, she was losing deals. And, I'm not, and mind you, I'm not like her biggest fan. So I'm not sitting there looking up her interviews like I do, Michael Jackson's interviews and stuff. Where I can tell you the difference between which interview, what year it was, which platform it was. And how much people would sit and ask her about him all the time. And then the thing is, it's like you said, and I'll let you go. I'll let you expound on that. But it's like she really wanted to be there for him, but at the same time, it's like hard because she had her own career and things like that. But that was something that you mentioned over the phone that I definitely want you to talk about, was the fact that her support of him, through his hard times.
Oh yes, for sure. I think another thing was I commend her for really standing firm. And even in the interview, when the interviewer asked her about the allegations and she said, that's not my brother. Like, he doesn't even have it in him to do that. And not only that, she stood firm. Like, if you really look at the one thing, I commend the Jackson family through and through. And hence why when we spoke on the phone, I was like, one thing that angers me in a sense is I don't know the team that Michael had, but I feel like it had a lot to do with Michael being isolated. Because if you look at the family, and you, DJ, you'll correct me on the quote, that the Jacksons in general felt like they were better together. And if they were divided, they're strong on their own, but it's nothing like them just being the core, right? So it was hard to see. And listen, we're talking about a musical genius that needed to break from the family. Let's be real. We wouldn't have gotten the classics that we have now if Michael just stayed with the Jackson 5 or whatever. But we don't know if he stayed with the Jackson 5, what would happen, right? It is what it is. We're not in Marvel's What If. We don't know. But
I believe that, and it's something that Jermaine said, just the Jacksons and the Jackson 5 was really a launching pad for Michael to be who he was supposed to be. That was like the, Motown and the Jackson 5 was like an incubator. He got to look at all these bigger artists, Stevie Wonder, seeing the Temptations, Diana Ross. He got to study Smokey Robinson. He got a chance to study all these people and take it all in. So when it was time for him to go on and do his thing, he was ready because he did all that studying. All those bigger artists back in the day would call him like a 40-year-old midget because he just had like that sponge, and he was always watching, looking, and learning. And he had an energy about him that was so, far ahead of his time for somebody who was like 11, 12, 13 years old.
Yeah. And that's beyond. And again, he needed to separate in order for him to be who he was. But at the same point, I feel like I don't know, something in my spirit is just telling me that if his family really was still around, because I know, like, when you get to a certain point, it's like your family can't always be there for you. But if he had some sort of a support system within his family, in a sense where they felt comfortable with like being around him or whatever, I don't know their dynamic. But one recurring theme that I noticed with Janet was, even when they were doing the Scream, when they wrote Scream and did Scream together, in the beginning, it was like, you know what? I want to be there for you. What can I do to help? Because like you mentioned, she was like in the peak of her career, and the whole Scream things happened. So Janet really did feel like working together would really boost whatever it was, like really boost him and like really help things.
That would just be her way of, that was the Scream, record was just her way of standing by him, you know what I'm saying? And Michael's way of having someone be there for him. What I was saying to you over the phone was just the fact that the reason why they were, separated, and then they created this narrative of competition between the two of them was because, and in short, the same people that did that were working for Michael Jackson or working with him or whatever are the same people that are the reason why he's not here. That sort of,
I agree.
If I keep him away from his support system and the people that genuinely care about him, this music shit aside, then we'll be able to have more control over him, because it's a law of power, not to isolate yourself, not to isolate yourself on a tower, you know what I'm saying? Because if that's the case, when your enemies are there, who's going to be around to help you?
Right.
And that's something that, I feel like, Michael knew, but at the same time, it's like when you're not around somebody for, X amount of years, even if nothing happened between y'all, you don't know how they feel anymore. And that's a fact. Like, I've been there. Because listen to what Janet said. She was like, yo, like, I haven't spoken to him in a year. You know what I'm saying? If some of his brothers probably hadn't seen or spoken to him in X amount of years. Like, I know they would have like their family day, but that was every once in a while, if everybody was able to get there all at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to look into account that we're talking about a family that was always together, and in their careers, and then branching off and doing different things, and you form different teams and you have different people in your life. People separate, people change. That is just the way of life. I just think, like you had mentioned, the same people that were like orchestrating things are the same people that caused his downfall, in a sense where, unfortunately, this is what happened to him today. It just was sad to see that there was a break in the relationship, because to see the footage of them growing up, they were very close. You could tell they were close. You could tell, like,
she looked up to her brother.
Yeah, they were like thick as thieves. So that was a hard, I'm not gonna lie, even like I told you on the phone, watching them like write Scream together, I kind of got choked up. I was like, oh, like, to see Michael like laugh and like Janet be there to like type his words and all that. It was a hard, I'm not gonna lie. And it was so eerie to listen to, and I was like singing his parts for the when he was singing Scream, and to listen to oh my gosh, what was the name of the producers again? I apologize.
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Yeah, Jimmy Jam. I didn't want to say it wrong. So Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, to just describe his genius in the studio, where it's like this meek guy comes in like, hey, like, can I do my thing? And then this like powerhouse comes out. It was just like, wow, switch, like, man.
He had that switch.
To be around that genius, I can't even imagine what it's like.
And mind you, we're talking about two geniuses who were like in awe of genius, which, to me is super cool, because when I tell you, so cool. Like, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis make up like 2 of my top 5 like favorite, like, human beings on earth. You know what I'm saying? That I don't know personally. Like, if I could spend time with 2 guys all day, it would be Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Real quick, because these are just guys who, like, outside of music appear to have so much wisdom, and they seem like the nicest kind of guys where like you could just walk up to them and ask them anything, and then they could just, you know what I'm saying, like, put you up on game. Because the guy who kind of put them in position is a guy named Clarence Avant. And, when I believe that when he's no longer here, those 2 will kind of fill that slot. But, with Michael, man, it's just, you're right. I just wish that he had he can still do his solo thing, but I wish that closeness amongst his family was still there, because I feel that it would have shielded him. Like, obviously you're gonna, regardless of who's in your life or not, when you're going through adversity, you're going through adversity. But at the same time, I feel like it would have, like taken the brunt of it a little bit, because you have your brothers, you have your sisters, you have your mother, and maybe Joe Jackson, you know what I'm saying? So, but one thing I do want to mention while you on here is the fact that, we used to have a little, a Michael Jackson contest back in the day. And Scream was one of the songs that we would do. I had the choreography down. I'm not sure about you. You know what I'm saying? But,
I did not.
But that was cool. So every time I watch Scream, I always think back to those days and stuff like that. I got a question. So
Sure.
What was your take on, Janet's, I guess, marriages and her, relationships? I will say, before you go on, I will say that I'm a little upset that she didn't mention Bobby Brown, because, her and Bobby Brown had a little thing back in the day. So I felt like, she should have mentioned that, you know what I'm saying? But she didn't.
Right. Clearly wasn't significant, but okay.
Well, I know to her it wasn't, according to Bobby Brown's book, but I will preface that by saying that the one that stood the most out to me was Jermaine Dupri's marriage to her, because he was the one guy that didn't have an issue with addiction, obviously. And he seemed to me, out of all three of them, or I mean four, but we didn't see, the billionaire guy, but he seemed to be the one. Obviously, he's a black man. Wink, wink. He seemed to, have loved her the most. And his explanation for why it didn't work out really resonated with me, because he was just
remind me what he said.
Well, basically he was saying that, two things: that he cheated on her, because, when he was saying that, when you're dealing with, when you're in a marriage with Janet Jackson, a lot of women are just going to come out the woodworks and want you. Now, I get that. I mean, that's happened to me. You get in a relationship, and then a lot of girls that weren't there when you were single, all of a sudden just pop up and decide to want you when you're in a relationship. But the fact, or the notion, that he could have done more, that he could have fought a little bit harder for things to work out, I was like, damn. And then another quick quote was one of her, I don't want to say colleagues, but one of the people on her team said that not her relationship with Jermaine, but with Rene, was that their relationship would have been magic if it didn't hurt so much. And that really hit home. But you can go ahead now.
It was sad. You know what? It's like, it's telling that one of the most beautiful women in the industry had such difficulties when it came to relationships, which makes sense in a way, because, like, if you really look at things, who can you trust when you are such a big name and you provide so much and you have all this fame and glory? And not only that, like, you come from this legendary family, and your brother is literally one of the top selling artists of all time. So it's like, there's so many factors that make it hard to meet someone and to really trust that person and to connect. So it made sense that the people that she aligned with were, like, in the industry already, because it's like they kind of know the ins and outs of everything. It broke my heart in the beginning when she spoke her story about her and I don't know his name, but the Debarge guy,
Chico Debarge, Pablo Debarge, right. Enrique Debarge. Yeah, I don't know whichever one of them.
Well, I mean, it's sad. Okay, first of all, I have to say, I mean, my heart goes out to that whole family, because drugs have rampaged that family.
Rhythm of the night? You mean Rhythm of the drugs?
Oh gosh. Anyway, so
rhythm of the drugs.
Oh gosh, but like, to hear that I attract men that have issues, I was like, what? Like, I was actually shout outs to Kempire Daily. I follow his platform on YouTube. He did a watch party of the documentary. So the first night I watched it, and the fact that, like, when we all heard it, it was like, whoa, mic drop. The fact that she said that, and then it was commercial. So it's like, I am attracted to men that have substance abuse issues, and I was just like, what? And then it went into commercial.
Yeah, a lot of commercials in the documentary.
Yeah, so that was just like eye-opening to see that, yes, this is a real thing. This happens. She was so open and raw about it, especially her first marriage. She was very raw about that. And then the whole Rene thing, that fascinated me in a bit, because it's like they were very much into not only each other, but her career. Like, he was there for a lot of different things. So that was interesting. Well,
I just believe that they were better off as, like, professional partners.
Exactly.
Because
I agree too.
It seemed like they had a phenomenal working relationship.
Yes.
And then it just seems like the intimate part, or the romantic relationship, was just there by default.
Yeah,
like it was just like a backseat. It's like, oh yeah, we're in a relationship, right? Oh, okay, cool. So about the video we're working on tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
100%.
It just gave off that vibe. But then, once, I don't know if you remember Shahzad from A Different World, but he was the guy with the dreads that was dating Freddie Brooks through summer.
Yeah.
Shahzad, first of all, I've never even seen that music video because, again, I'm not a big Janet Jackson fan, but I was like, first of all, they got Shahzad in there, and then like you had him. You know what I'm saying? Like undoing her pants in front of Shahzad, and then Shahzad is like, oh, mind you, it's not even this guy's real name. I don't even know his real name, but we're gonna call him Shahzad. Then he was sitting there and he's like, you got a boyfriend? She's like, yeah, he's right there. He's directing this. And I'm like, yo, no wonder Tupac was like, yo, your man's was right there. But I was really trying to do my thing with her, even though he was standing right there. Because to me, Rene, he just, I don't know. Like I think sometimes your relationship with somebody could be in overtime. And I believe that their relationship was in overtime at a certain point. I'm not sure when that point was, but their relationship was in overtime. I would say after 89, 90.
That's a word. I mean, that is very telling, because it's like it becomes mechanical almost, where it's like, this is something that I have to do kind of thing. But like they were so intertwined in each other's life. I think it was hard to want to be in that relationship. And it sounds like towards the end, he had some prescription pill problems. So I think that took into account the demise of the relationship. But all in all, I did have a feeling with Jermaine Dupri that there was still love there, in a sense where, I mean, it sucks that he cheated. I didn't know why they broke up, but to hear that he cheated on her, that sucks. Yeah. You could tell she was super happy with him for some reason. Like I'm not gonna lie, I always questioned that relationship. But to actually hear him not only talk about her, but like especially during the time of the Super Bowl, I really was like, wow, he really like tried, because at one point he talked about being on the board of the Grammys, and he's like, the fact that they don't even want her there, why would I be a part?
He was loyal. Like just that loyalty, man.
Yeah, so he resigned immediately, and I was like, kudos to you, because some people be like, I'm gonna keep up. No, like,
right.
So like at the end of the day, I think, and I'll ask you this question: watching the footage, watching everything that and being the fan that you are of the Jackson 5, Michael Jackson, all that stuff, what did you take out of the whole documentary? That, I mean, I don't think you learned so much.
Right.
You know a lot. But like, what is one thing that after seeing this and not being a big Janet Jackson fan, are you a bigger fan, or like, are you still the same? Is what my real question.
I always had a great appreciation for Janet Jackson, just off the base of the fact that she's Michael Jackson's sister, but also for her association with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and then the fact that she has music that I love that represents certain memories for me. Like how you have a song, and then when you play that song, you could think about a certain moment or a time period in your life. You know what I'm saying? And it brings that nostalgia back. And Janet Jackson has about 4 or 5 songs that are that for me. I even don't find Janet Jackson attractive because she's Michael Jackson's sister, so I actually don't even look at her in that light. I can't.
I get that. I
can't. People would be like, "Yo, man, Janet Jackson's so pretty." I'd be like, "Ew." Like, nah, I just don't look. She look to me, she's like a relative or something. Like, she looked too much like Michael for me to even. Nah.
Yeah. She does.
But my takeaway is just that, like, she is one of the greatest female entertainers of all time, and when you talk about that, if she is not at least maybe the first 2 to 3 people that are mentioned, then throw that whole conversation list, out the window. And I think people really need to, if it is their lane, I feel like most people who are into this sort of kind of music, people who are into this sort of thing, I wouldn't even have to say anything to them because they already know what it is when it comes to Janet Jackson. So, and she just seems like a really nice person. I feel like if I sat and I got a chance to talk to her, I feel like I could just talk to her for an hour about like family and relationships and, perceptions and opinions and different things like that, because that was the hope that I always had for at least one of the Jacksons. I felt like if I if I get to meet one of them, then I get to meet Michael because that was his, direct sibling. So it's like if I got the chance to meet with Janet, I would really just talk to her about, things like that. If I got a chance to talk to Jackie, Marlon, Tito, Jermaine, you know what I'm saying, Randy, one of them, you know what I'm saying? Just one, you know what I'm saying? Just give me one.
You're not greedy.
Yeah. I'll just take one. So, but that was my takeaway.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And for me too, I was a huge Janet fan. I love her music. There's so many, like you just mentioned, there's so many songs that I think of that when I heard them, especially in the documentary, because sometimes it's like, I'm not saying she's an older artist, but like she's an artist that so many things came out at a certain period of time where it's like, I'm not really listening to them right now, but like to hear the songs and all that stuff, I'm like, I need to be playing me some Janet because like I miss these songs. But and also I was younger, so it's like the songs you listen to the songs now, they mean more than back in the day. But for me, what I took from it was I just overall just enjoyed hearing her voice and hearing what not only she went through, but seeing her persevere through it all. She is such a strong individual, and there were certain things I didn't know about in her life. I had no clue that it was Rene's hands that in that
I knew that.
I didn't know that in that infamous Rolling Stones picture. Like there's just certain, I knew she was close to Michael, but to hear like different accounts and how it affected her, I had no clue about the whole Coca-Cola partnership that she was about to do. And then they pulled it when the allegations happened. So it's just like like you had mentioned earlier, her career got more affected than we thought.
Right.
And because you are guilty by association, that's your family. So when scandal like that happens, people always look towards like the next person, like, what are you involved in this as well? So all in all, for me, I thought it was so well done. You could tell that she took her time with it. And at first I wasn't too happy to see it was on Lifetime and A&E. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, this is Janet Jackson. It should be on like HBO.
What?
But
No, she gave a smaller network a chance to air something big.
No, to be quite honest, now looking at it now, no, I'm happy she did that. Not only that, she made more people be able to watch it as well. Not everybody has HBO Max, so it's like not everyone wants to get the subscription to HBO Max. I know a lot of us have it now because of different shows and stuff like that, but all in all, I thought it was well done, well produced, all that, and yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end.
So to wrap things up, I want to ask you, what is your favorite Janet Jackson song and why?
I don't know why, but "If" is by far my favorite song. I could listen to "If" on repeat all day. Okay. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. Yeah. "If" is my favorite song, but it's something about that particular song out of all, and mind you, Janet has songs but it's just something about "If" that I remember hearing it for the first time and being like, what is this? And then when I found out it was Janet Jackson, I was like, and just being in love. And I love what I wish. I mean, I know she's getting older. No shade to Janet, but I want to see her perform. Like, I would love to go to a concert because everyone who's ever seen her said like she is a powerhouse on stage.
I believe it. I believe it.
And what about you? What's your favorite Janet song?
My favorite Janet. All right, so I have two, but my number one is a ballad. "Come Back to Me" is my favorite Janet Jackson song, and to me, for some reason, like it makes me think like, I'm James Bond in Paris. It's 4:00 in the morning, sunrise, man, and I'm just looking at the Eiffel Tower. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I think of when I be listening to that song. I got my trench coat on, I got my fedora hat, and I'm just walking the streets in the rain, just by myself, just chilling. Okay. Reason why is because years ago, basically I was like laid up, with an ex-girlfriend, And then, you know, we took a nap, and then I had like YouTube playing in the background, and then I woke up, and then I remember and I had never heard the song before. And it had been at like towards the end of the song, you know, like when the strings start to come in, and then it's just it's showing like different parts of the city that they were in. I don't know if it was France, but I know it was somewhere in the UK where they shot that video. And then I remember it was I was just, you know, half awake. I was just like, you know, and I was like, yo, what is this? Like, just the vibe was just perfect. And then I remember, like, once I caught wind of like what that song like was, I kept on rewinding it just before the strings at the end, because that's my favorite part. Like, if you actually listen to the interlude of that song, like you will understand why. Like, it's just perfect. I remember she woke up and she was like, why do you keep doing that? I was like, yo, like, do you not hear this? I was like, yo, this is on point. And then my second favorite Janet Jackson song is not necessarily because of the song, but because of the video. Let's Wait a While, which is another ballad.
I love that song.
And she had Ty Mock from The Last Dragon in her video. So, and they were walking around the streets of New York, you know, 1985, 1986, you know, black and white, you know. So those are my two favorite Janet Jackson songs. So, yep. With that said, if you want more content like this on the channel, please like, comment, subscribe, give the video a thumbs up. And Nara, any last words?
Just if you guys haven't seen the Janet documentary, definitely go out and see it. It is amazing.
All right, cool. And I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.
Peace.
Good luck.